Hello, Trev here. I just went to a public consultation about the Cowley branch line, which is a kind of an extension to the railway line which currently goes to Oxford and then extending it towards Littlemore and Cowley. So they opened up a public consultation, so it's in the early stages just to kind of gauge interest. And before I get into sort of some of the details, they did recommend the best thing for people who want to support this project to do would be to email your local MP, who is Annalise Dodds. So if you are in support of this project, then please do sort of send her an email and say that. She's very aware of this project, actually. She posted it on her social media, but it just means it bumps it up in her in tray. She's just been re-elected as East Oxford MP. You could also, if you kind of live slightly outside that area and have a different MP, obviously you can email them as well. But it will bump up her the importance of it in her in tray if you feel that this is a project that you want to support. Okay, so the project was at Templar Square at a place called Jungle. This is one of their events. Jungle, I'd not really heard of before, but it's sort of a new community space, and they host anything that's free for the community. So in this case, it's a public consultation, but really interesting space which I'd not heard about. So hopefully gonna work with them maybe in other forms. But the public consultation was from the council, and I believe there were some people from Network Rail as well. But if I just first of all show you sort of here's some of the people going round, and they asked for feedback. So here are some of the slides which my councillor Ed sent me as well, so you got a bit better pictures. But the reopening of the Cowley branch line for passengers, so you can see with the kind of dotted black and white line, which is the line sort of from Bicester Village, Oxford Parkway, Oxford, and then it would extend to Oxford Littlemore and Oxford Cowley. So you've got kind of quite a bit more reach in terms of sort of local houses and communities. So and to get from Cowley to Oxford would take 10 minutes, and there'd be 2 trains every hour, I believe. And if you wanted to go further, the trains would go to London Marylebone, or obviously you could change at Oxford to go to other places, for example. So it all looks very promising. So they've got the story so far. So I'll just stick that slide up for a little bit so you can have a little look. You can maybe pause the video if you want to. But basically today, so this is July 2024, the event, and then they're hoping in autumn they'll run more public consultations, and then the proposed potential opening date would be mid-2028. So you are looking kind of quite a little bit into the future, which is a little bit sad. I'm like, can you not kind of get this up and running sooner than that? But I guess that's how long it takes. But certainly from this, they're looking to get funding, and the more MPs, I guess, back it, then it would get more likelihood of becoming successful, shall we say. So then we've got a map of where the stations would be on a map. So you've got the kind of Oxford Cowley station sort of near the Tesco's, sort of near that place, and then Oxford Littlemore, can't work out exactly where that is from that slide, but we'll have a look, but near the Science Park, and then obviously serving sort of all of Littlemore and Greater Leeds, sorry. So if you look at this more scenic depiction of Oxford, Littlemore, you can see that it's sort of behind the Oxford Science Park pending planning application. So there are some questions on, for example, parking. Obviously, there's a big initiative to try and get people away from cars in Oxford, but some people inevitably do need to drive, and the Oxford's come under a lot of scrutiny from maybe not accepting accepting that, but people with disabilities, for example, or people with, there's different needs. So having some parking at these stations is kind of vital, really, and also cycle parking and bus links, so people can go in. But you can see that that's going to really help with, for example, the Oxford Science Park. People that work at the science park could go there. And for me personally, living in Rose Hill, that's not going to be too far away from me, going through Littlemore to get to the station, and then potentially I can go all the way to London or wherever from there. Okay, so that's the Oxford Littlemore station, and then last slide is the Oxford Cowley station, which is sort of behind the Oxford Retail Park, so by the Tesco's, or near the Oxford Stadium even. And again, sort of the idea of a bit of parking potentially. I did suggest that maybe they could, I don't know, buy some of the parking from from Tesco's, for example, to argue perhaps that less people would need to come to Tesco's by car. They could come by train, for example. So then maybe 10 spaces or something could be given to the station parking. But yeah, there's still early days, so they're still welcoming sort of feedback in terms of problems or potential problems. But also that line already exists. I did do a little video of it the other day. I'll just put that little kind of clip in here as well. So that this line is only a single track line, so they might have little turnaround points and sort of 2 trains an hour. So there'll be a sort of a waiting point either side of that sort of single track bit, but it shouldn't be too problematic. I mean, you're not looking 2 trains an hour is not a massive amount of trains, so you just have to wait for each other. But someone was saying about like extending the line. Apparently the line used to go to Wheatley even, so past Horsepath. That would be amazing if that happened, but apparently that line's not really used anymore, and there's been building, goes through the mini plant. I did suggest that maybe if they spoke to the mini plant, they could again use the mini plant for some car park or something like that. That there could be some sort of collaboration with mini plant workers could well travel in by train in the future. But currently the plan would be just to have Oxford Cowley there. It doesn't look like there's much real space for parking, for example, that sort of thing. So I don't know how they're thinking to access it, but certainly for local people, that's going to be great for people in Blackburn Leys or potential housing development around there. And the other kind of questions are about cost. I think there was sort of like figures like £4, something like £4 or £6 single or return, something like that thrown around. So it possibly isn't going to be as cheap as the bus, but obviously if you connect into going further afield, that's going to be really useful. And the priority probably would be to make it cheaper. Like if you want to discourage people sort of driving, you want to make that sort of commute really really cheap, in the kind of £2-3 sort of thing to get to Oxford really. And things like in London they have or maybe they don't even have Oyster cards anymore because I think they're being phased out, but you have the tap on tap off, and then it caps the most amount that you pay in a day. So if you were to get the train into Oxford and then I don't know, get a bus and then maybe get another bus somewhere and then you get the train back, it's all like local journeys. Something that would sort of make that sort of possible, so you could just tap on, tap off, and it would charge you a cap of like £5 a day or something like that. That's what they have in London. And I don't know if Manchester's got a similar thing now. Manchester has trams, which some people are saying about trams. It would be great to have trams. I don't know that would ever really happen realistically in Oxford, but this looks like if it gets sort of support and funding, it potentially could go ahead. So like I was saying at the beginning of the video, so I was saying what her agenda and the lady I was speaking to, or what her hope was for this, and it's sort of to get the funding go ahead in terms of they try to do train developments all over the country. They can't really do any too close to London apparently, and this is kind of connecting what seems to be a privileged place. So Oxford's sort of affluent, but Cowley's obviously got a lot of poverty in it as well. So connecting that line does tick their boxes, but they do need enough residents to say, you know, it would be used, and, you know, to kind of push it up the agenda in terms of it getting the pot of money for funding. So making 2 stations isn't cheap. The line is there, and yeah, I'm very in support of this project, and it'd be great to see it happening. I'll try and make some videos on it if it does kind of get to a kind of past the planning stage, and do write to your MP and yeah, recommend it. Okay, see you soon. Bye bye.